back to Newslink. Now, the Joburg inner city is now associated with dilapidated and hijacked buildings that are now crime hotspots. Let's discuss the impact on service delivery and socio-economics. I'm joined by Angela Rivers from the Johannesburg Property Owners and Managers Association this morning. Angela, thank you so much for your time. Continuing on with our focus from yesterday to today about the urban decay that we are unfortunately witnessing in our inner cities. I mean, just take us back in terms of giving us context. In your view, when did we really start seeing more urban decay in terms of our infrastructure, our buildings within our inner cities?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on your show. The deterioration of the inner city has been going on for quite a while. I'd say in the last 10 years, it really has deteriorated more than we've ever seen before. And for us, the big thing is the amount of wastage that is going through the city, and the money that should be used to fix infrastructure is being stolen or squandered or misused. You can see definitely, I mean, the majority of the hijacked buildings within the inner city belong to the municipality or to the provincial government. And those are the core of the deterioration, because once you have a hijacked building, the properties around that start to lose value. Tenants don't want to stay in the buildings near hijacked buildings because they can get robbed. They can, we've had a lot of incidences where people in hijacked buildings are shooting bullets through buildings that are well managed and looked after. So we're finding that a tenant turnover around hijacked buildings is very high.
And Angela, when we talked, sorry, if I may just come in there. When we talk then about the loss of value, obviously there's a monetary value attached to it. I can't even fathom how much that is. In your view, what are the numbers looking like here?
The numbers are really scary. In July this year, the City Council implemented their General Valuations Roll 2023, which basically they reevaluate all the properties in Johannesburg. I'm sure a lot of people have got a bit of a fright when they got their council accounts now at the end of July. And what we've seen is the majority of our buildings in the inner city, their values have increased three times by the city of Johannesburg. To give you an idea, we have one member who has a very small building. He's a new developer. It's got 30 units. His rates account was 15,000 Rand a month. It's now 50,000 Rand a month. This is the affordable housing market with people who are earning between 5 and 15,000 Rand a month. So it's not like we're talking about, high-end accommodation. This is affordable housing, and it's just not becoming affordable housing anymore because these costs ultimately get passed on to the tenant one way or another.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It does, Angela. And I'm also just worried about also these hijacked buildings, since we're talking about it becoming hotspots, for criminals. I saw, an article about the eThekwini municipality having to demolish a building because it was operating an illegal tavern, amongst other things. And we know that a lot of wrongdoing goes on in there. Is there anything that the police is doing to assist when it comes to hijacked buildings, some of the criminal elements that occur in these buildings? Because like you said before, they then deteriorate the value of, the other buildings next to it, but also the area in its entirety.
Absolutely. The city does have they don't like to use the word hijack building. So the city prefers the term problem properties, which I think is a total understatement. They do have a problem properties task team, which has been really ineffective. The main reason being, in order for the task team to be effective and actually get into these buildings and sort it out, you have to have the police. You've got to have JMPD for bylaw enforcement. You have to have the health department. You have to have social services. You have to have the Home Affairs Department. You need every single government department in order to tackle a hijacked building. But it's also very important to note, and I've seen this quite a lot in a lot of the conversations that I've had, not everybody that's living in a hijacked building is a criminal. Some people are there purely necessity. They don't meet the requirements of formal tenancy like pay slips and bank statements. So this kind of informal accommodation suits them, and they're able to, they've got somewhere to live, which is also shows the huge downfall on the city for providing safe and secure housing for people in the communities.
Yeah.
The the only way to tackle these problem properties is to actually go in flat by flat. The big thing is a lot of these properties don't have water, they don't have electricity, they are unlivable. The way that the tenants are treated by the building hijackers is criminal. The council doesn't get 1 cent from a hijacked building. So the council is also losing money. They're not getting rates, they're not getting paid for the water that's being stolen, and they're not getting paid for the electricity that's being stolen. So everybody suffers from hijacked buildings.
And just before I let you go, you're about to emphasize the point in terms of what you think needs to be done. In the interim, then, what do you think can be done to solve this problem? And how long do you really think fairly it can take?
Sure, that's quite a heavy-loaded question. I think the team needs to understand they cannot do it alone. They need the private sector to help them. JPOMA members, even non-JPOMA members, have years and years of experience in the inner city and dealing with our own properties that have been hijacked over the years. And it's very difficult for them to admit that they need our help or to, I mean, I've sat in a meeting with the council and they asked me to leave because they don't want our help and they need, it's the only way to tackle hijacked buildings is to work together. In fact, anything to do with the city at the moment, because of the deterioration, they have to work with the city, with the private sector.
Yeah.
That is the only solution.
All right, Angela, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for adding your voice to this conversation.